Good morning, everyone. We're gonna discussing about what is private subnet, how this particular private subnet is required for us, and how we can protect your servers from the hacker attacks. And when you want to connect your private endpoints, and what is the best practice that we have to do it as per the industry standards, what we have to do, and how we can provide the tunneling, everything that we have to discuss about in the today's session. Okay, it's a very very important. See, the whatever that you're learning, you have to implement on the project level so that you'll understanding about like how we can able to work on the organization level. So let's have a look. I'm just trying to first draw the architecture. After that, we are going to implement in the as per the architecture. Okay. So now we can see that the first, we have to select the region. Uh, this is nothing but like my region. In the region, we can see that. So because the VPC is always resides within the region, so this is nothing but like my region, right? Hmm. Within the region, we have something it is called as a VPC. The way we have trying to keep all the resources that whatever that we have right now. This is nothing but like where we have a VPC, and within the VPC, we have something it is called as a availability zone. Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the availability zone. So if you understood this diagram, it is very easy for you guys to implement when going to implement the things right now. This is nothing but like my availability zone because from the beginning, I'm just talking about like the subnets always resides inside the availability zone. So we have the another availability zone. Okay. Now, this is a region. We have the VPC. Within the VPC, we can see these are the two availability zones that we have. Within that, what we have to do, we have to create a subnet. Now, I'm going to create one public subnet and one private subnet. Okay. Let's say go for the subnets here. So first, I'm just trying to create a public subnet in this availability zone. Mm. Yeah. After that, I just need to create one private subnet. Yeah. Uh, this is nothing but like we have one public subnet and we have one private subnet. Yeah. So within this particular subnets, what we have to do, I'm just trying to creating one EC2 instance. See, what are the EC2 instances that you're trying to creating on the public subnet? It is what we can call as a best in host. And when you're trying to creating the instance in the private subnets, this is nothing but like where you are going to actually deploy your application. Okay. Now, this is what we have, right? Now, let's look at the connectivity here. See, whenever you want to get the internet within the VPC, first we have to create the internet gateway. This is nothing but like we are trying to create in the internet gateway. I'm just trying to attach into the VPC first. After that, whenever we call it as a public subnet, it has associated with the internet gateway. So for that, what we have to do, we just need to create a route table. This is nothing but like we have a route table. and we have to create two different route tables for the two different subnets. Now here, to one route table, what I can do, I'm just trying to attach the internet gateway. Okay. This is a what we can say about like the internet gateway that we are attaching. And after that, what we have to do, we have to create a NAT gateway. This we'll talk about like what is NAT gateway. This NAT gateway we have to attach to this route table. So I'll talk about like why we have to create NAT gateway and what is the purpose of the NAT gateway. But you have to remember one point. Whenever we call it as a public subnet, it has associated with the internet gateway. Whenever someone called as a private subnet, it has associated with the NAT gateway. NAT is always nothing but like network address translation. It is nothing but like whenever you are trying to whenever you want to translate the IP address into the translations, we had to go for the NAT. Or else, if you understand that, if whenever you want to get the internet to the private subnets, we are going to get the internet to the private subnets using this particular NAT gateway. That's what exactly that we are going to do that. We can see that we have the public subnet and we have something it is called as a uh, private subnet. So private subnet is a one where you are trying to uh, you are gonna protect your servers. See, when you talk about something, it is called the three-tier architecture. We haven't implemented, but going forward, you are going to implement it, the three-tier architecture. So whenever we talk about something, it is called three-tier architecture. We have something it is called as a web server, we have application server, and we have database server. So when we talk about something, it is called the web server. The web, yeah. When I talk about something, it is called the web server. It is nothing but like where your customers are trying to expose to the internet. That's what we have to understand. So whenever we talk about something, it is called as a yeah, whenever we talk about something, it is called as application server, where it contains a business logic, and it is going to be where it contains a business logic, and it has to be in a private subnet. Why? Because we had to protect your application server and we had to protect your database server from the hacker attacks. Because I don't want it to expose anything to the internet. I want to keep those things in a private. That's where we had to go for the there's two options, whatever that we have. One is nothing but like private subnets, and when we have to go for the public subnets. That's what exactly we had to go with the public, and we had to go for the private subnets. Okay, so this is something that we are trying to understanding about like why we have to go with the private and public subnets concepts. So protect your data to protect your servers from the hackers. That's where we had to go for the private and public subnets. It's fine. Let's move on, and we'll try to implementing these options right now. I'll talk about like three-tier architecture, and once we have done with this particular RDS concept. Because if I want to talk about it, if I want to talk about the if I want to talk about something, it is called the data architecture. I want to make you understanding about like where we can able to store the data. So once we have done with this RDS, then we'll try to implement one architecture, and as per the architecture, we can deploy one application in the AWS cloud. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on, and we'll start discussing about like how we can able to go for it right now. So the first thing, the very important point, let me just go ahead. I'm just trying to explain that how we are trying to implementing this architecture. We see that the connectivity and how we can able to go for it. So we had to go for the step-by-step process. I want to say the first we had to create the VPC, and after that we had to create internet gateway. We had to attach to the VPC, and after that we had to create the two subnets. One is for the public subnet and one is for the private subnet. So public subnet is the basically why, because means if you wanted to connect your private endpoints, we require something it is called as a basin host, or we can say about like gem server. So that is the reason we are trying to creating the public subnet. In the public subnet, we are gonna keep one server over there. right? Now we can just go for the private subnets. The private subnet is nothing but like where you are trying to actually deploy your applications. That's what we have to do that. Now, after that, what we can do that we are trying to create in the routing tables. Those routing tables, what we have to do that we wanted to keep this particular routing tables, and we are trying to attach to the subnets. That's what we are doing it. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll see about like how we are going to do these options, whatever that architecture that we have created. So just go for the step-by-step process so that you'll understand that what is the reason that we are trying to creating it. So this architecture I'll implement. I'll show you about like how we can able to deploy, how we can able to expose any application which is there in the private endpoint in tomorrow session. Okay, let's move on it first. The first, let me go for it. The first we had to go for the yeah, we had to go for these options right now. Let me just search for the VPCs. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, let's go to the VPC. Yep, that's fine. Now what we can do, I wanted to go for the options right now. What I can do it right now is the first what I have to do. I just need to first click on the create a VPC. So we had to provide the VPC name. The first we had to go for the Clahan VPC. That is the name that we had to provide. We can see that we have to go for the IP4 CRDR block, right? I just need to provide the 10.0.0.0, and after that we have to provide the here we can see that we had to provide the 16 is nothing but like my CIDR IP address range, right? See, this is nothing but like we had to provide the name of the VPC, and we had to provide the IP4 CIDR block, right? Now, if we just come down, we know that like we discussed about like what is meant by tenancy. Tenancy is nothing but like where you are trying to create in your server. Are you going to use the shared hardware or you want dedicated hardware? So I told you very clearly, if we go to the default tenancy, the cost rate is going to be reduced. If we go to something, it is called as a dedicated hardware, the cost rate is going to be increasing. That's where we had to go for something, it is called as a tenancy over there. We had to go for default and we had to go for the dedicated. That's fine. This is nothing but like tenancy that what we have to understand. And after that, if we come down, we had to click on the create a VPC here. So the VPC got created. Now, what is the next step here? We have to create internet gateway. And this internet gateway, we want to attach to this buckler, we want to attach to uh, the VPC. Let me try to create an internet gateway. The first we had to provide the, I'm just gonna mention about like, yeah, internet hyphen gateway. That is the name that we had to provide. Now after that, click on the create internet gateway. The gateway it is got created. See, once the internet gateway got created, we want to attach this particular internet gateway to the VPC. How we can do that? Click on the attach to the VPC and we have to go for it. See, whenever you want to get the internet inside the VPC, definitely we have to get the internet only with help of the internet gateway. We can see that attach an internet gateway to the VPC to enable the VPC to communicate with the internet. So whenever you want to communicate any instance or anything that you are trying to create in the network, definitely we have required something. It is called as a internet gateway. Now, if you just go back here, when I just go back and to make sure that this is going to work, let me just go for the next subnets. Now, go for the subnets here. I have to create a subnets. Now I'm just trying to creating the subnets, what kind of subnets that we have to create it, right? The first we can just go for it right now. Click on the create a subnet. The first we have to select what is the VPC ID. This is nothing but like we have the VPC. Now after that we have to go for the subnet name. So within this particular VPC we are trying to creating two subnets. One is for private subnet and one is private subnet and one is public subnet. Now first we have to provide the subnet name. I can go for the Clahan hyphen. We can see that the public hyphen subnet. That is what we have to understanding about like subnet name. We can see that what is availability zones. We have three availability zones that we have. We can see that we have AP hyphen south hyphen 1A and we have API hyphen south hyphen 1B and we have to see about like API hyphen south hyphen 1C. This is nothing but like we have three subnets that we have. Okay, so three availability zones that we have. So we have to understanding about like which availability zone we have to select the which subnet. Let me just try to go there. I'm going to select this particular API hyphen south hyphen 1A is my availability zone. In that we have to put the we have to mention about like what is the IP4 CI block. See, this is nothing but what we discussed, right? Within the VPC, we'll be having a subnet. Subnet is nothing but like segment where your organization is going to hierarchy to follow to protect your resources, whatever that you're trying to creating. Now for this, we had to provide the IP address range. So now here, if I'm just trying to provide the 10 dot 0 dot, we can see that 1 dot or 0. And after that, we had to put the 16 is nothing but like my, sorry, I'll just provide the 24 so that I can able to get the 256 IP addresses. So once we have done this particular submit CIDR block, after that, if we just come down, we can see that we have to click on the creative subnets. Like, let me add one more subnet here itself. I'm just trying to adding one more subnet right now. Let me just try to click on the add subnet. And after that, we have to go here. I'm just trying to mention about like, the Clahan hyphen. We can say about like, private hyphen. And I'm just trying to put the subnet here. I'm going to choose the different availability zones. See, you can create the in the same availability zone also. That's fine. To make you practice to understanding about like why we have to go for different availability zones. I'm choosing the different availability zones. Let me go for the, yeah, this is nothing but like we have an availability zone. We can see that we have the IPv4 block. Now we had to provide the different IP address range for this particular subnet. Let's say, so 10 dot 0 dot, we can see 2 dot 0. After that, we had to put the 24. It is nothing but like a range of the IP address. That means there are 256 IPs that we can able to create it. We can see that what is IP address range that we can able to create right now. There is a 10 dot 0 dot 2 dot 0 and we have to provide the 24 is my CIDR block, right? If we come down, we have to go for it and we have to click on the create a subnet. So this is something that we should understand that how we can able to create two different subnets. Is it clear in this part? Anyone have any questions?
No, it's clear.
What about others? See, you guys has to be react quickly going forward. Make it fast. If you guys understood or if you have any questions, you ask. I'll clarify it. Yes.
No, so far, no major question.
Okay. That's fine. Yep. So now we are trying to create in two subnets. So you have to keep this diagram in your mind so that it is easy for you guys to understand about like what we are doing it. Now I'm just trying to creating two subnets. One is for public subnet and one is for private subnet. Now let's go for it. Okay. Now can I just go for the options here? Click on the create a subnets. Click on the create a subnets here. Yeah, the subnets got created. Now what we have to do is I want to create it the routing tables. Let me just try to create it the route tables. The first what we have to do, we have to go there.
Uh, it was on top.
Yeah. We had to go for the
Yeah.
route tables. See, as per the diagram, we have to create two route tables. One is for public route table and one is for private route table. So we discussed about like what is meant by route table. So whenever you wanted to redirect any traffic to your the server, we have to define that what traffic that you wanted into the server. See, like for example, if the request comes to my server, my laptop, so this is the we discussed about like everything. It is going to be with the IP address. So when you just look at here, when I talk about like what is my IP address, if we see that like what is exactly the IP address that we have. When I send any request to any website, any website, the request goes to 49.206.135.62. It is nothing but like my IP address. So it always request will come from the IP address. Like that, every device, every computer will have the different IP address. Even you are trying to using the mobile phone, right? The mobile phone also will have the different IP address. Let me just take about the what is IP address that we have in my mobile. Just give me a moment. So you're gonna get this same IP address because you connect to the same network, the same Wi-Fi I'm just using. So the same network that you're using, so that is the reason the same IP address that will get it. Now we have to create the route tables. The route table is basically determine that the which traffic that you have to come to your server. We can see that route table specify that how packets are forward between the subnets with your VPC, the internet and to your VPC connection here. So we are trying to create in the name right now. I'm just trying to provide the Clahan hyphen and go for the public hyphen. So go for something it is called as a route table, right? This is something that we should understanding about like what is the name that we have to provide and on which VPC that we have to create. We have to create within the VPC. We can see that this is the public route table which I'm creating right now. I'm just trying to creating the another route table for the private. Let me just try to create it the another route table here. I'm just go there and let me try to create it the click on the created route table and here I'm going to create it the one more route table is for private. And here we can just look at here. This is nothing but like my VPC and we are trying to creating one private route table as well. Click on the create a private route table. Now here, if you just go there, if you click on the route tables, if you just look at the refresh button, we have one is a private route table and one is we have the public route table. There's two route tables that we have. Okay, this is all right. Now, if we just look at the diagram, what is the next step? You created two route tables. Now we have to make it as a public route, public subnet, and we have to make it as a private subnet. So how means, see, whenever we talk about the public route table, that means it is associated with the internet gateway, right? We have to go for it. We have to attach the internet gateway to this particular public route table. See, for that, what we can do, we have to go for the edit routes, click on the add route, and here we have to go for the open the internet. After that, we just go for something, it is called the internet gateway. And this is the internet gateway what we have, and we are just trying to creating over there. This is nothing but like my route table. This is the internet gateway. And after that, what we have to do, we just need to go for something, it is called save changes. This is nothing but like you're trying to add the routes right now. And after that, what we have to do, I just need to attach, I just want it attached any subnet here. Let me show you about like how we can able to attach the subnets, right? This is nothing but like we have a subnet, and after that we have to go for the eight subnet association, and we can see that I'm just trying to attach the public subnet here and click on the save associations. This is something that we have to go ahead, and we just need to understanding about like how we can able to do that, right? We have this public subnet, and we attach this particular public subnet to this particular route table. That means if we just go for the subnets right now, okay, if you open this particular public subnet, you see that what are the routes it has got opened. This is route table is always associated with the subnets. See, it is open this particular 10.0.0.16. Along with that, we can see that it is going to open the internet. So anyone can able to, or any resource that we can able to expose to the internet. It is a bidirectional communications. That means the request will go from server to internet, and response will come from the internet to the server. This is nothing but like bidirectional communication will happen when you just go for something. It is called the route table. It is, that is how it is going to work whenever we talk about the public route table. See, so far this is very important. This is very, very important. So far you understood that very clearly. What is public subnet, and what is public subnets, what is internet gateway, that we discussed. But what is exactly mean by private subnets? Why this particular private subnets that we required? That's very important point that we should understand. So whenever we talk about something, it is called the private subnet. I explained very clearly. Private subnet, the means which is associated with the NAT gateway. So what is exactly mean by NAT gateway? And why do you want to understanding about like, NAT gateway? So the NAT gateway, yeah. So whenever we talk about something, it is called as the NAT gateway. So NAT gateway is nothing but like why we require the NAT gate. First, understand the purpose. So when I talk about something, it is called as a NAT. NAT stands for Network Address Translator. That means you have this particular server which is in a private subnets. That means you can't able to expose anything to the internet because it doesn't have something, it is called a public IP address. So whenever you have the public IP address, that means we can expose, let's go to here. We can expose on the internet. That is what we have to go for the public IP address. So whenever you want to protect any server, you should have the private IP address. So if the server doesn't have the public IP address, we can't able to expose anything to internet. See, private IP address we are using for the internal communication purpose. Okay, that's what you'll experiment now. Now, if we have this particular private, let's say this is nothing but like private subnet, and and we have something, it is called EC2 server which I'm creating within this particular private subnet. Now if I want to get the internet, if you want to get the internet to the private subnets, how you are going to get the internet to the private subnets? So whenever you want to get the internet to the private subnets, definitely we require something, it is called as a NAT gateway. If you want to get the internet to private subnets, and to the private subnets, you want to get the internet to within the EC2 instances, definitely we have to create a NAT gateway, and you want to attach the NAT gateway. The purpose of a NAT gateway is going to get the internet from the internet gateway. From internet gateway, the internet will go to this particular NAT gateway. From NAT gateway, the internet will go to this particular EC2 instance. So to the NAT gateway, from where it is going to get the internet, it is going to get the internet from the internet gateway. So if we just try, whenever you're trying to creating NAT gateway, we have to create from the public subnet, because the public subnet has the internet access, so that the internet will come to the internet gateway. From internet gateway, will go to the NAT gateway. From NAT gateway, will go to the EC2 instance. This diagram you have to understand very clearly. So it is, we have to go for something, it is called as a internet gateway. That's what we have to do that. If you can just look at my screen, you have to understand this flow. Yes, Sheikh.
Sir, I just have a doubt. So we created the internet gateway and the NAT gateway, but we use route tables in the sense if we have multiple EC2 instances, we need route table to direct the traffic that we get from that internet gateway to particular instances, right?
Yes,
Or oh, okay, okay,
you are correct. Whenever you want to
okay.
route the traffic to any particular server, what
Hmm.
kind of traffic that you want to route, it is always defined in the route tables. Route table is nothing but like what kind of request that you want to send to your server.
Okay,
That route table is always going to be attached to subnets.
okay, understood.
Anyone have any questions in this flow? Why I'm just talking about an internet gateway? Yep. So first understand about like what is meant by NAT gateway. So when we talk about something, it is called as a NAT gateway. We can see that it is a network address translation. Is a process where a network device like a router modifies the IP address information in the header of the network packets. This is primarily done to allow multiple devices on the private network to share the single public IP address when the communicating the internet. You have to understand there is a single sentence here. See, share single public IP address when you communicating with the internet. So whenever you have something, it is called a private network. You wanted to get the internet to the private network. You want to share this internet to the multiple devices. Then definitely we had to go for something. It is called as a NAT gateway. You see that it is translates between the private internal to the public external IP addresses. That is the job of this something. It is called as a NAT gateway. Say why we require NAT gateway means we can see that NAT was initially introduced to address limited number of availability IP4 addresses by allowing multiple devices to share a single public IP address. It helps converse the addresses. See, whenever you are creating multiple servers in the private IP address, and if you want to get the internet access to the public subnets or public endpoints, we are going to get the internet with only one public IP address. That's nothing but like internet gateway. So that's where we had to go for something. It is called an NAT gateway. And there is something it is called as another layer is security. Because I don't want to expose my application server. I don't want to expose my database server to the internet. So that what we can do that we can protect my data from the hacker attacks. I can protect my application from the hacker attacks. That's where we had to go for something. It is called as security. So security is always is nothing but like it's very important. The primary concerns how we can protect your servers from the hacker attacks. So NAT can enhance the security by hiding the internal network structure from the outside the world. So others, when the hacker understanding about like what kind of structure that we have used everything, they can't understand. That is the reasons we have to understand to add something. It is called security called as a NAT gateway. It is so it is make it is more difficult for external entities to directly access devices with the within the private network. That is where we have to go for something. It is called the security. The security is one of the primary concerns when I talk about the option name. It is called as a why NAT gateway is required. The first one we require the IP address conversion, and the second one we had to go for the security. This is nothing but like why we had to go for something. It is called as a why we required the NAT gateway. So NAT is basically nothing but like network address translator, which is nothing but like to enhance the security of for your servers. So that is where we had to go for that. We can see that when a device on the private network want to be access the internet, it requests send the router. So that's what we're talking about it. When you have this particular any server in this particular in which require the internet, definitely what we can see we have required something. It is called as a NAT. So without attaching the NAT gateway, you can't able to get the internet access inside the private networks. That's where we had to go for something. It is called as a NAT gateway. That is how it is going to work when I talk about something. It is called as a NAT gateway. See, the router, it is going modifies the source IP address in the packet header. It wants the public IP address. So that's where we are trying to creating something. It is called as the elastic IP address while creating the NAT gateway. So we can see that the router also create a translation table entry, map the private IP address and port number to the public IP address and port number, and to access the application to the internet. That is how we can able to do that. So let me show you about like how we can able to work with this particular NAT gateway. The first we have to go for the VPC. We can see that in this way there is option name, it is called the NAT gateways. So right now we don't have any NAT gateway. Let me try to create it the NAT gateway here. We can see it is high available managed network address translation service. That instance in a private subnet can be used to common connect the service in the other VPCs or on-premises network to the internet. So definitely we had to the only the way with help of the NAT gateway. So now here we can see that we have the NAT gateway name we had to mention. Let's say I'm gonna mention about like Clahan-NAT-gateway. Yeah, and after that we had to provide the subnet. So what subnet we have to select here? That's what my point. So whenever you're trying to creating a NAT gateway, you have to select the subnet which has the internet access. That means right now we have these are the subnets that we have. The Clahan-public-subnet, and we can see about the Clahan-private subnet that we have. But to which subnet we have the internet here? We have the internet access to the private subnet, right? That is where we had to go for something. It is called the Clahan-private-subnet. So to this subnet, we have something. It is called as the internet access. So I just wanted to select the the public subnet because the internet gateway attached to the public subnet. So the network will come to the internet gateway. From internet gateway, the network will go to inside this NAT gateway. So now we can see that this is the subnet which we have attached. Now we had to go for the connectivity type, whether we had to go for the public and we had to go for the private, right? This is something that we have to understanding about like connectivity type. So whenever we talk about something, it is called the connectivity type. Public means, and we have to understanding about like what is meant by private. So when talk about the public, public is nothing but like where it has the internet access, right? Now, if we just look at here, when I click on the private right now, we can see it showing about very clearly private NAT gateway traffic counter is the internet. So whenever you are trying to creating, definitely we had to go for the public. That is how we had to go for something. It is called the public right now. So here you have to very careful whenever you're trying to creating this particular NAT gateway. So the first we had to mention about like, we have to attach the public subnet. And after that, we have to mention about like connectivity type is called as the public. And after that, we can see that we have to require something. It is called as the elastic IP address. What do you mean by elastic IP address? See, whenever you are trying to creating any instance, it has a public IP address, it has a private IP address, right? So whenever you are going to restart your server, or if you stop the server and you are going to start the server again, this IP public IP address is going to be changed dynamically. So when the public IP address is going to be changed dynamically, because you have to understand about like what it is going to be happen here. Every time the URL is going to be changed. That is the reason I want to make a static IP address means nothing but like, static means it doesn't change. So that is the reason I want to create one static IP address. I want to attach the instances. So the static IP address is a chargeable. You have to understand that what is meant by static IP address. Static IP address means it doesn't change, right? That is where we have to go for the what is exactly meant by this static IP address. So whenever talk about something, it is called as a public. We can see that definitely we require something. It is called static IP address. So if we just go to here and we can just look at my screen, there is something. It is called as the elastic IP address, right? So what is exactly mean by elastic IP address and how this is gonna work? So this elastic IP is not a free of cost. You have to pay for it. So that's where we have to understanding about like, which one it is going to be chargeable. Elastic IP address is a static IP address. It doesn't change. Now my question is like, why we need to create a elastic IP address? Yeah. So we elastic IP address, whenever you're trying to creating this particular NAT gateway, that means that is what that is my question right now. So here you have to understanding about like one point, why we wanted to created the elastic IP address when you're trying to create in the NAT gateway. See, whenever you're creating the the NAT gateway, when you attach the public subnet in the you must associate the elastic IP address. What is the reason behind these means? Your route traffic from the NAT gateway to the internet gateway for the VPC. That is where we had to go for something. It is called as a route here. So you wanted to understanding about like how we want to route a traffic from the NAT gateway to the internet gateway or for the VPC. So that is the reasons we had to go for something. It is called as a elastic IP address. So I'm repeating once again. If you want to route the traffic from the NAT gateway to the internet gateway, definitely we required for the VPC, we have to create something. It is called as a elastic IP addresses. That is a rare. We had to go for something. It is called as a you have to create the elastic IP address when you're creating the NAT gateway. Now we can see that if we just go for something, it is called as allocate elastic IP address. We can see that the elastic IP address is going to be allocated automatically. Now, if we go, we just go down, we have to mention about like what is the tags that we have and how we wanted to associate this particular tags. That's very, very important point. So the first we have to click on the create a NAT gateway. I hope this is very clear what is NAT gateway and why we had to create NAT gateway. It is clear to everyone.
Yes.
What about others? I'm saying it's very, very important again and again.
So just to be clear, elastic IP address would be the same even if I restart the server, right?
Yes,
It'll be the same unless I kind of try to cancel it.
it doesn't change the
Okay.
public IP address. It'll keep the same
Okay.
IP address.
Okay. But you mentioned that it like the cost is expensive. I mean,
It,
the
it
cost is
is it is a
more.
cost us, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because clients will ready to pay for that. They are focusing more
True.
on the security side, right? So
Yeah.
they don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine. Now we have to click on the create NAT gateway. Now, this NAT gateway, whatever that we have, and we wanted to attach to the whom. So we want to attach to this particular private route table, right? So first we have to go for something. It is called the route tables. We have to go for the route tables, and we can see that we have the private route table. Click on the route table ID. And after that, we have to click on the edit routes. Click on the add route. And here we have to open the internet. And we wanted to attach the NAT gateway. Click on this NAT here and click on the save changes. This is done, right? So we have done with this particular, we can see that we have created two route tables right now. And we just want to attach this private route table to the private subnet. Right now, we don't have any subnet associated, right? We have to go for the click on the edit subnet and we have to attach to the private subnet. Click on the save associations. This is done. That means if we just go back here and we can see about like what's happening right now. If I just go for the architecture, if you just look at my screen, there is something it is called as we have the availability zones. Inside that we have the one public subnet we created and private subnet we created. We created two route tables and this route table we attach the internet gateway. To this route table we attach the NAT gateway and we can see that we have attached. Now here we should understand the flow, what we have implemented. One second, let me just draw this one also. Yep. Look at my screen. The first, this to the internet gateway, whatever that we created. From the internet gateway, the internet will come to this particular public subnet because we attach the internet gateway to the public subnet. From the public subnet, the internet will come to this particular NAT gateway. Understand this flow here. Come on, yes. Yeah. From this particular public subnet, this internet will come to the NAT gateway. From NAT gateway, the internet will go to inside the private subnets. Yeah. This is what we just need to understand that how the internet will flow from the internet gate to the public subnet. From public subnet, the it will go to inside the private subnets. That's what exactly we should understand these options here. So fine, right now, let me explain that. Now here inside that we have to create instances, right? Let me go for it right now. You have to we just observe carefully to which instance what kind of key pair which I'm creating. Rest everything that you know that, right? Click on the launch instance. When you click on the launch instance, the first we have to go for the instance name, right? What is the instance name that we have to mention? Let's say I'm going to provide the first, this is nothing but like the Clahan hyphen the best in host, best in hyphen host. That is what we are trying to creating right now. So once we just mention about like Clahan hyphen, we can see about like best in hyphen host. And after that, if we come down, there is something it is called as we have the Amazon Linux, we have the Mac OS, we have Ubuntu, we have Windows, we have Red Hat, we have SUSE Linux Debian. So let me take the Amazon Linux here. I'll choose Amazon Linux kernel 5.10. And after that, if we come down, we have to go for the instance type. So what is the instance type that we have? So we have to go for the t.micro, that is fine, 1 GB and 1 GB RAM. And we require something it is called the key pair, right? So what kind of key pair that we need? So I just wanted to mention about like the key pair. Let me try to create a key pair. The key pair type, I'm providing the name here. The name of the key pair is nothing but like Clahan hyphen, the best in hyphen, the host. That is a key pair name that we are trying to creating. And we can see there is something it is called as the RSA key pair, whether we had to go for the .pemp or we had to go for the .ppk. So .ppk is basically putty private key pair. If you want to connect the instance from the putty terminal, we had to go for .ppk. If you want to connect the instance from the command line, we had to go for .pem file. So we'll see the both how we can do it. As of now, if you just go for .ppk, putty private key pair, we can see that we have to click on the create a key pair, right? So I just created one .ppk file for this instance. Okay. Now next one, in which network that you wanted to create your server. That's very, very important. See, if you click on this edit right now, we have to select then which VPC that we are trying to creating. So we have this two VPCs right now. One is the default and one is nothing but like, Clahan-VPC. I'll go for something it is called the Clahan-VPC. And we can see that there are two subnets that we have. One is we have the public subnet. Another one is nothing but like we have the private subnets, right? I just wanted to create the EC2 instance on the private subnets. Let me just try to create something. It is called public subnet first. After that, we can see that we required something. It is called public IP address. If you just look at my screen, I have to go for the enable the public IP address, because whenever you want to connect private instance from the Western host, definitely it has to be in the public subnet. I'm repeating once again. You have a server, you have a server in the private subnet. It doesn't have the public IP address. If you want to connect this private server, definitely we require one basin host. This is nothing but like basin host, or we can say about like, gem server. You should understand about like what is meant by the basin host, or we can say about the gem server. This is very, very important. We frequently use when you start discussing about like Kubernetes and all. We can see that the basin host is a special purpose computer, often called as a gem box, or we can say about like, a gem server. When I talk about something, it is called basin host. It is nothing but like a special purpose computer, nothing but like a server called as a gem box, or we can say about like gem server. See, this is going to be act as a secure gateway for accessing the private network from the external network like internet. You have the private subnet. In the private subnet, you have the server. You want to access the server, we required one instance which has running on the public network. That server is what we can call it as a basin host. This basin host is always works on the public network. You have to remember this point. Now, if you just look, that's what it's talking about it. It designed to withstand attackers to provide the controlled entry point for the authorized users to manage resources within the private networks. That's what exactly it is going to talk about. Something it is called as a basin host. We can see that it is a special purpose computer, often call it as a gem box, or we can say about like, gem server. That's very, very important. Now we are trying to creating the, yeah, I'm just trying to, what we can see, I'm just trying to creating the gem box here. This is what we can call as a business host. Now we have to create a security group. The same security group we can able to use multiple times if it is in the same VPC here. Now I'm just trying to mention about like what is the security group. The security group I'm just mentioning about like, Clahan security hyphen group. That is what we are trying to creating right now. And if you just come down, I have to mention about like description also. This is fine, absolutely. And after that, we can see what kind of firewalls, or we can see that inbound routes that we are trying to attach. So we can see that we have something, it is called as the SH protocol. So when I say something, it is called SH protocol, which is basically going to open to the internet. Whenever you want to connect the remote server, definitely we require SH protocol. So right now, I'm just trying to enable the SH protocol to connect my server to the internet, because it is a remote server, right? We have to know how to connect it. And after that, we can see there is something it is called as storage. How much storage that we require? I'm just gonna put something it is called 30 GB here. So 30 GB is nothing but like what is how much storage that we require. And after that, we can see that there's a number of instances. How many instances that we require, that we mentioned about like what is the number of instances. I require only one instance right now. So now here, I'm just trying to click on the launch instance. When I click on the launch instance, the instance is going to be created, right? Let's go for it. And if you just go there, click on view all instances now. This is the instance ID. We can see it has a public IP address, and we can see it has something it is called private IP address. This is nothing but like what is the instance that we have created, right? Now I'm just trying to creating the one more instance. Let me try to create it the one more instance first. Let me go for the instances. And after that, what I can do that, I'm just trying to click on the launch instance, and and provide the instance name. I'm just going to provide the web server. Okay. This web server is basically works. This web service basically works inside the private subnet. Let me go to here. I'm just trying to creating one more server. It is a web server. After that, we have time to select in the Ubuntu here. So Ubuntu is nothing but like I'm creating one Ubuntu mission in the private subnets. Okay. Now here, if we just come down, yep, we can see that we are trying to select the instance type. T2.micro, it is absolutely fine. And after that, what kind of key pair that we have to create? So this instance, we can't able to connect from the putty. We have to connect from the best and host. See, for that, what I required is, I just need something, it is called as a .pem file. So let me just try to create a pem file here. Click on the create a key pair. I'm just trying to mentioning about like a key pair name Clahan-web server. After that, we have to select the .pem. See, previously I created .ppk file, but now I created something, it is called .pem file. Now, if you click on this particular create a key pair, the key pair it is got created, right? After that, if you come down, we can see there is something it is called as a network settings. Under network settings, we have to go there. Okay. Now we can see that we had to select the VPC, and within the VPC, we can see that we have the subnet, right? We have the public subnet, and there is something it is called the private subnet. I'm gonna creating this particular instance on the private subnet. And I don't want the public IP address to this instance, so that I'm just trying to disabling it. Now, if we come down the security group, you can attach the existing security group to the same server. We don't need to create multiple security groups. We can see that you can just go for it. I'm trying to attach the security group what we have created, the Clahan security group. So 8 GB storage, that is absolutely fine. Or if you required, I can mention about like 30 GB storage. The number of instances we required one. You have to understand I created two different servers into different subnets, right? Now, if you click on the launch instance here, the instances got created. Now, if you go back, if you just go back here, if you click on view all instances right now, we can see the two instances that we have created. One is a web server, one is a Clahan-based host. If we go to the instance ID, we can see that it doesn't have the public IP address. My question is like how we can able to connect this server, and when you deploy the application the web server, how you are going to expose the application to the web server. That is where exactly we should understand right now. Okay, so this is the complete architecture that we implemented. Right now, anyone have any questions here?
No, Mulli.
So, what is the use of this? Why we have created and how to understand those points? I'll take in tomorrow's session. Right now, we have done only this setup as per the diagram. Now tomorrow I'm going to show you about like how we can able to how we can able to create the server and how we can deploy the application. You want to expose it, how we can able to expose it, everything that we'll discuss about it. Okay. Yep. Thank you guys.